Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 333 of the Drunk Destiny Podcast. I'm host, as always. I'm Tyler. And joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Vacation. That's pretty much what's up.
You fucker.
Well, for everybody listening, yeah, for the first time in quite a long time, I actually am on a legitimate vacation. Not taking off work to do something like moving or freak weather accidents or whatever the hell. I'm actually have had some time to go through a bunch of stuff and complete a bunch of tasks and try out some new things I've never done before. Hence, like going to a movie theater, for instance.
Yeah.
So,
Overrated.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah.
But how have you been doing, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good as well. Just been working like usual. Went home sick Tuesday, which kind of sucked, but
Aw,
came home and slept for like 9 hours, man.
dude.
It was glorious. Glorious, Gables. Glorious, I tell you. Yeah, I cannot tell you how nice that was. But, other than that, doing okay. Nothing too exciting going on in my world. Just working, clanging and banging as usual. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of a short intro there. I was just like trying to think. I'm like, what have I done this past week? I had Red Lobster for the first time.
Oh yeah, lobster, huh? How was that?
Yeah. Oh no, second time. I tried lobster, crab legs for the first time. Those things were not good. Seafood's disgusting, Gables. I don't know if you know this.
Well, you should just eat some of the artificial crab meat then.
Yeah, like popcorn shrimp, like frozen popcorn shrimp. You just put in the stove for like 20 minutes. Amazing.
Yeah, but if you eat like something like, let's say, artificial crab meat or whatsoever, those things I kind of like and stuff. I mean, let's see. Other than that, though, I tend to like some bits of seafood unless it's something that's automatically just submerged inside seawater, and then all of a sudden you just can't eat. You can't eat it without tasting the seawater. That's disgusting to me.
That sounds gross. Sounds terrible. No,
but it's like I have a friend that she usually would go almost every year to like the crab festival inside of the town that we used to live in and stuff, and like go to the crab festival and just start eating like a crab dinner and this and that and stuff. And she said it was like pretty good in some bits and regards and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not kind of a fan of like original crab.
Yeah, no.
It's like an acquired taste.
Yeah, like I'm a person. I kind of like fish, like, but I really got to be in the mood for it. And it just was not feeling it. Courtney got the crab legs with the steak and stuff, and let me try it. Just too much work for a very little food that doesn't taste very good.
I hear you.
Break the thing, pull the shit out, and dip it in this weird like melted butter stuff. But I don't know, it was not a fan. So no go, no bueno. I don't know. Other than that, just that's it.
So
Seafood no good.
Well, you know what? With that in mind and stuff, what have you been playing for this week, Tyler?
Oh, okay. We can get into that. Just more Madden, to be honest with you. Played a few more games of Madden. Still liking that a lot as go figure there. I did pick up and play a little bit more of Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
I like that game a lot. There's a couple of things I have, like, not a big fan of like kind of the open world part they've done with it a little bit. The other one was more linear with some like, you could do a little like some more like a Wolfenstein or a Doom where you can kind of explore these small areas. And this one's kind of more like you're in these, like you go from different area, you go to different area to area, but each area is pretty large with a lot of things to do in it.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of that. And also just like the loading times in this game is fucking terrible.
Really?
Legitimately like 2 minutes on some occasions, especially when you initially boot up the game, and then like if you die or change sections there as a loading screen, like those can be 30-40 seconds, and it just kind of kills the momentum of the game, like especially for me, like where my gaming time is so limited right now. It kind of like I'm like, I want to play some Metro, and I just sit there and I sit there and like I'm like looking at my phone, I start to play, and I'm just like, it just kind of kills the momentum of you playing it, or like you die or something like that, and then you have to wait through this long loading screen again. It's like,
that's killer.
So like, yeah. So if it was, in the olden days, a long ago, when I was a single man, it was whatever, But now when you get an hour or so here, hour or so there, I don't know. It's just like I don't want to spend 10 or 15 minutes of that time waiting through loading screen. So it's like, let's go play Madden now. So
there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it, but the major gripe there for me. But yeah, that's about it. I'm not just been Madden's kind of taken over my world as far as my gaming time. So what about you, Gables?
Well, let's see. Towards the end of our last recording, I managed to finish up the main campaign for Borderlands 2 with my Gunzerker. Nice. I'm happy to report that I got that done and out of the way, like I said I was going to do. That was actually one of the first things at the top of my list that I actually got completed while my vacation started. It's like, I completed that last quest early. And so I was actually with level 35 with my Gunzerker. And what's kind of funny about that is I actually delved a little bit inside of like some of the Headhunter missions because they have additional DLC stuff. I have not gone and done the Fight for Sanctuary stuff. But no, what's funny is there's this one Headhunter mission stuff where you have to go through and tackle like one of Torg's missions or something like that, where you have to defeat the Wattle Gobbler. And the thing about it is, it's this giant invincible turkey, right? And basically what Mr. Torg wants you to do is go around and poison its food. So that way, once you go through and poison its food, you have to feed it to him. Like this big old turkey, this big old like horse trough thing. So that what happens is the turkey eats it, and you have to shoot the turkey. And it's supposed to be one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. And it definitely is one of the easiest bosses in that regard. But you have to fend off up against like 7 or 8 other people that the Torg Corporation president or something has to like sick on you because they want the whole like emphasis of the Wattle Gobbler to be defeated by Mr. Torg and stuff, because they wanted like to hand him the new guns and stuff in order to kill this thing. But instead Mr. Torg's like, oh man, this is boring and stuff. Hey, we're gonna have you just defeat the the Wattle Gobbler and stuff. And so that whole mission, I did that. And what proceeded after that was a couple of missions that kind of kept me, like, it kind of took me by surprise. Dude, there is missions inside this Headhunter thing, like, right after the fact, where you can actually talk to Mr. Torg's grandmother. And it is exactly what you think, too. It's basically you're, like, right in front of, like, his grandmother, right? You listen to her stories. That's the mission. That's the entirety of the mission. This is like a raid level difficulty, and you get a lot of experience points, right? She goes on, I kid you not, the same exact length it would take for you to go through and get like some of the actual difficult like missions, like say maybe a 10 or 15 minutes. And so for me, I just decided to do it, because okay, let's go ahead and do this. It's like after about the second mission in a row where she's just like talking right there, she wants you to go and fetch some of these chocolates or something like that, and that's what breaks up the monotony of it. But no, it was hilarious because it's basically you're sitting through Mr. Torg's grandmother talking for like about 20 to about 25 minutes of these various stories. She's just rambling on, not letting you have any type of word in. And after that, it's like, oh, hey, let's reward you with this. It's like, gives you a couple guns and this and that. And like, yeah, that's a thing that happened. Oh, I thought it was pretty funny, honestly, because inside that game, you're just randomly going from mission to mission and stuff, shooting up a bunch of things or something, or like just collecting a whole bunch of loot and this and that. And then all of a sudden, it breaks up the pace and stuff. And what's kind of hilarious is I have my character sitting down and stuff like that, and with him not moving for about 20 minutes, all of a sudden, while she's in the middle, she's talking, he just shouts out, "I'm bored." I'm like, oh god. Oh my god. Other than that, I managed to crack open and play a little bit of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Nice. Now that's the game that I've said I was going to play, and I've played a bit of it. Basically, it kind of reminds me of 2 other games. One, it reminds me of the Persona games, like basically Persona 5, Persona 4 and stuff, to where you can schedule like all the various things you can do in order to do like training with like individual like unit members and like different like story, like different character development stuff. So like a little bit of a social link. The more friendlier you are to a unit or something, the better they do in battle and this and that. So this game is pretty much in depth. I end up choosing like the Black Eagle house and stuff, and at this moment in time, I have barely done like a couple of weeks worth of stuff, but it's fairly fascinating the amount of stuff you can do and what you can quintessentially do, because apparently from what I'm hearing is after a certain extent, you have to prepare like your units and stuff and try to get like you can actually recruit other members from other houses to your unit base, because if you don't do that and stuff after a certain point, there's like a 3-year time skip or something like that, and everything else like gets things, so certain units could actually die and you wouldn't even know it from like other houses, and it's like I gotta plan this out accordingly. The combat of it is pretty fast, pretty interesting. There's no weapon triangle like there was to the extent of some of the last games, but basically the appeal of this game is to build just build up relationships with characters, and then find out what they're good at, what they excel at in sort of specific classes. Like, say, if they excel with like mounted, like if they're good with like riding horses or riding a Pegasus, or if they're good with a sword or axe or with like magic or something like that, you can round out your party pretty well based upon the stuff that you lack with your current like setup for your current unit. And quite honestly, so far it's definitely got a good impression. I played like roughly about an hour and a half of it. There were a couple mini games I tried out, like there's a fishing mini game that helps you leveling up your teaching skill for some reason, and there's like, oh god, there's a whole bunch of scheduled things you could possibly do to increase like your teaching level or something, because apparently the higher teacher level that you do, the better you get like the options in terms of building relationships and this and that. It's very complex in regards to what you can build and what choices you can do. I'm kind of liking that so far. But let's see. Other than that, that's pretty much what I have been playing. Other than I played maybe like a little bit of Bloodstained for Switch.
Oh, cool.
I have not like gotten too far into it. Maybe like an hour or so. Gameplay is pretty solid. It had like a massive patch before I even started the game, which I heard was like to try to rebalance certain aspects of the game. But they're still working on a huge patch for the Switch version still. But other than that, though, nothing bad about it so far. I mean, I liked bits of the voice acting, a bit of like the gameplay. It's really reminiscent of Koji Igarashi's past work, say with Castlevania series and stuff. And I'm enjoying it so far. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well, very cool, man. Well, moving on to our news. So we actually got quite a bit of news. Unfortunately, most of it not good. But we have news this week, guys, and a decent amount of it. So starting off with some of the best news of the week. Hopefully you guys got my sarcasm in that, and I feel like I put enough sarcasm in that. Walmart is pulling all violent video game ads and demos from their stores in lieu of the shootings we had in the last couple weeks, and then also with Trump's statements, about video games. So, yeah.
Okay, so to further clarify too, it wasn't just, say, violent video games that Walmart themselves have pulled, but it's also depictions of like violent acts from like hunting videos inside their hunting section, and even like, say, even like violent images or something like that through like movies or certain bits of like displays or something like that. What I kind of found funny about today is when I was at Walmart, I purposely played like the God of War trailer in the middle of the electronics section, because that's one of the more violent things that you can actually just do.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, my overall opinion of it is like, God, it's just basically a billow of smoke, covering up the actual thing. It's kind of like what I described with my mom when I was talking to her about it. It's like, it's pretty much been like putting a Band-Aid on like a broken bone, quintessentially, where I understand the reasoning why Walmart made this kind of tone-deaf decision, but at the same time, they're still selling guns and ammo inside of their things. They're still going through and having a bunch of their like, it still doesn't fix the problem initially.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like all right, whatever. So you're not going to be able to like have displays that depict like some violent. Okay, no problem. You still sell the games and stuff like that. I can still buy them. So I know there are some people that are outraged by it. and there was like a Twitter hashtag going on like boycott Walmart, and I'm just looking at it. It's like, dude, this is exactly what people want you to go forth and take hook, line, and sinker, because it distracts from the actual talks about. It distracts in and of itself away from the real topic of the matter right here, and that's pretty much white nationalism and the gun control issues that we're having. That's quintessentially like the president and everything else is kind of like throwing this curveball to trying to get sort of this almost like a video game sort of panic going on. That's the real issue right here, and it's just blowing smoke in people's faces, and yeah, it's completely dumb.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, the guy went into, this is mostly because of, it's Walmart that was affected by the shootings this time. That's primarily the reason, and I'm fine with this. Like, this is not like a permanent thing. This is temporary, out of respect. Yeah. But it's kind of ridiculous. Like, this guy didn't go into a Walmart chucking Xbox controllers at people. He went in there with an AK-47 and was shooting people.
Exactly.
So there's a large difference there. Like, we're not, this, like you said, it's a Band-Aid on a broken bones. To make a joke that Chris Rock would make, it's like, you break your bone, you just put some Robitussin on instead of go to the doctor. That's what his mom always would do. And that's what it feels like they're doing in this case. I agree. It's completely ridiculous. And I don't want to make this a whole, gun control thing and like what's the right thing to do, what we should do. In that sense, but it's just this has been going on for like you said, it's a distraction. It's just like I can't remember there's a movie called Now You See Me. It's about magicians, and they talk about, I can't remember the exact quote, but they talk about like they use something when they're like, because the magic's fake, and they have to like elude the viewer's eyes so they can make the trick happen, so they don't see how they do it, and it's basically like this is the distraction to like kind of pull away from gun control and things of that nature.
But then in of itself, it's also a classic case of, okay, let's play video games for the troubles of today's world.
Yeah, I mean, but it's stupid because it's been going on since Columbine in like 2000, I think, 1999.
Yeah, it's been going on for the past 20 years.
So it's 20 years, but before that, people were blaming MTV. People were blaming Run DMC. It was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they were blaming guys like. They were blaming like rock music, they were blaming rap music and stuff for violence and stuff. It's not a new thing. I mean, the whole aspect of blaming media for the events of people doing violent acts has been around for now just like decades now.
Yeah, I mean, really since the baby boomers essentially have been. It's like they were the first ones of that. Now, like the baby boomers are blaming the new thing of the generation, just like their parents blamed the Beatles and blamed acid and drugs and fucking Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. Like it's the previous, it's the old guard blaming the new thing that they don't understand, and that maybe that's a little too much of a broad blanket, but that's primarily what it is. It feels like is just a lot of people out of touch in power, and just in general that that can make things happen that just don't understand what things are now currently. And someone like brought out like there's a really great tweet that was going out where it showed like UK's population versus the United States population. Like we have 5 times as many people as the UK does. We play 5 times the amount of sales in the US compared to the UK. Like we sell like, I think it's like 7 times more spent on video games here than it is there. And then it shows like mass shootings compared to the UK, and it's like 129 times the amount of mass shootings in the United States compared to the UK. So it's like in like Japan, like they said, like per capita, more people spend money on video games there than in any other country by a pretty wide margin, and there's no mass shootings there. There's not like yelling about anything there. It's just like I said, I don't want to get too upset about it. I don't want to get too outraged about it. Like when I read it, you just like, God, and you get pissed at you, but it's just like that's what they want. Don't do the thing. Don't let them get don't let the magician, the White House, distract you so they can pull the wool over your eyes and and stop. It's just this is the first time they've blamed video games. It's not gonna be the last time. It's video games gonna be blamed for shit until the next new fad comes along.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's dumb. It's stupid, and I don't know. It's just tiresome. It's like you can't even like. We're at the point now where like you hear like the city. It used to be like remember, when there was a mass shooting, like you remember. Oh, you could remember like, oh, that one there in that city, or you put a name on it and like, you know exactly what it is. And it's just like nowadays, like I don't even remember the name of the bar that was shot up in Dayton, Ohio last week. I don't even.
No, it's just so often and stuff. And there was like a statistic thing that was shown too that that there's only like maybe a handful of states in the United States this year that. Not just this year, but like I think in general that haven't had a mass shooting, like maybe 8-9 states.
Yeah. It's like it's to the point now where like there was like this past year, like last school year, there was multiple school shootings that weren't even covered, like on the news, because it's not news anymore. Like we get pissed off for a few days and it goes away. It's just it's a thing. It's where we are in society. Or like scroll Twitter or Facebook and you're like, oh fuck, there's another.
I know it's so much of an epidemic that even the local news doesn't want to show it.
Yeah, it's just like it's like the news, like we don't want to annoy people, so we're not going to talk about this mass shooting. And like I was saying, like you don't even remember. Like it's sad and pathetic that we can't even like Columbine sticks out because it was the first one that I think, at least in our lifetime, that we remember. Sandy Hook is the key one, a big one. I think probably one of the bigger ones because of it was elementary school. To me, a few stick out, like Aurora, I think is how you say it. That was the with the Batman Dark Knight.
Oh, the Dark Knight,
the shooting.
The Dark Knight massacre, and then like you had the one in Vegas that happened. I think it was last year.
2 years ago, yeah. And then one in Orlando when they shot the gay nightclub. It's just nuts. Like
it is
hundreds a year, and you can't I don't know. I feel like once we decided after Sandy Hook that it was okay. Guns are more important than the safety of our single digit age children. We as society kind of lost that battle as far as gun control goes and all that. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a sad way to put it or a sad way to think. But it's after there's been hundreds since then, dozens major ones that have happened since then. Is that like the key ones you can like. The one in Vegas where like 60 people died. The gay nightclub where or the nightclub where like the guy went there and killed all these LGBT. I can't say the thing, but the gay, lesbian people and bisexual people, like they shot up that nightclub. It's like and 30 people died, and it's just like we just we get pissed off, moan and groan. Someone blames something else. We get mad about that, and then it's over. I don't know. It's not gonna be the first time. Like I said, it's not the first time the White House has done it in this term. It will not probably be the last time, unfortunately, that this happens. But sticking with gun policies and video games for 1,000, ESPN is delaying the Apex Legends tournament that is happening at the X Games or whatever. They had I believe it did a invitational tournament for Apex Legends. They actually did it last week, and they streamed it live on their Twitch account, and it's you can watch on their YouTube channel like the whole thing. But they were going to show I think on Sunday evening on ESPN2 they were going to show a kind of like the clip, like the highlights and everything of it, kind of a condensed version of the Apex Legends tournament on ESPN2 on Sunday night. And they now decided to reschedule it till October 6th. The network said because of the mass shootings that occurred, like they've had 3 in the last week, or 3 in a week time span, that they're doing that out of respect. And that, like I said, you can if you want to watch it now, it's on their Twitch channel and on their YouTube channel if you really do want to see it, the whole thing. This one, much like the Wal Mart thing, kind of bothers me for the reasons they're doing it. But if this was just a thing they decided to do, like the Wal Mart thing, if they decided to do that, like it wouldn't, like okay, fine, I can see that, but it's like pull down all the violent shit, not just violent video games, which it sounds like they're doing. But this one doesn't bother me as much just because it happened. If it wouldn't, I would say if it just kind of like Walmart, where if it wasn't for people going outrage blaming video games for the shootings, or being responsible for shootings, like they said, hey, out of respect for the mass thing, if this was just the thing they did and it wasn't all the backlash against video games right now, and they decided to do that, like I don't think anybody would complain. I think this would be a very small story, and like okay, we get that, but who's to say there's not going to be a mass shooting a month from now, like a week before this airs, and we're gonna be right back. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is depressing and stupid. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It is most definitely. I'm kind of like in agreement with you in terms of like, I'm not as like say angry say like in this regards. At least people can go through if they wanted to watch the actual footage of this like Apex Legends stuff. They could go forth on the Twitch stream and stuff, the Twitch channel that it's aired on and stuff. Watch that match, get the highlights. And quite honestly, if it's like a sports thing, people have already seen it already to the extent where it's pretty much old news by this point, and them airing it like in October, right? Not even like over like 2 months since the the actual thing went forth and done. It's like, I mean, it's kind of beating the bush around and stuff. I understand why they delayed it and stuff, but at the same time and stuff, it's like, in that case or something like that, it's like you air it in October, a couple months after the fact. I mean, oh well.
Yeah. Once again, dumb, depressing, but yeah. I don't know. I'm a little surprised. I was, when I was reading all of this at the point, like I was saying, like you first read about it, you're kind of pissed off and like that, and I was like very like, I couldn't wait for tonight because I was like, I'm gonna go on a rant, and it's just like after it's been a few hours since I read about it and everything like that, and I've been thinking about it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's just not worth getting mad over. It's not to say it's not worth.
It's not.
Like, shootings is something to get mad about. This shit is just like bullshit. Like they want you to get mad over this instead.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. We're not falling for this.
Yeah, yeah, we are not. Fortunately, some people are. But sticking with some, let's try to switch over to some positive news, which I think the rest of our news stories are positive. Gabe, I'm gonna let you take this one away. But Pokemon Sword and Shield had some news. Some more. They revealed some new Pokemon types. Who we got here?
Well, let's see. From the Pokemon types, we got.
Wait 1 second. What the, I'm looking at this for the first time. We got a Galarian Weezing. He looks like a fucking Bong.
Now that you just said something about it, he does look like a fucking Bong.
He looks like a Bong. I'm looking at. It looks like a Bong. With testicles.
Nah, the whole meme going around with a Galarian Weezing and stuff. He looks like a friggin' like Doug Dimmadome from Fairly Odd Parents.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck is this? What is this?
The whole thing about like a Galarian Weezing as well. It's like it's Poison Fairy type. It has the regular move, the regular ability that Weezing would have, Levitate. But there's another ability that's not revealed yet. It's the first Poison Fairy type that technically. That dual typing and stuff. Well, actually, more or less second, because there was another one that was not technically revealed, but it was inside of like a Nintendo Treehouse like trailer this past year. But anyway, in regards to that and stuff, it's one of a couple different Pokemon reveals. So you have Galarian Weezing, which it consumes like
massive amounts of Cheetos.
No, it consumes poison. And it actually filtrates it and purifies it, and that's what the smoke comes out of the top of its like dome-like hats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But the other one, this other Galarian form that I'm kind of more excited about is the whole thing about Galarian Zigzagoon. Now, if you're a fan of Pokemon, if you've played through the 3rd generation of games, one of the first Pokemon that you'll encounter in the wild after you get your starter is Zigzagoon. It is a normal type. It has it just has like one evolution. It evolves in the Linoon. It has the ability to pick up to where you can pick up a couple different items, this and that and stuff. Well, by reading the descriptions of this is apparently like the origin species of like Zigzagoon, meaning this is the actual, inside the Pokemon lore, this is supposed to be the, not just the offshoot, but the original Zigzagoon, how it should be, pretty much, from what I understood. And so basically it has sort of like a reverse sort of design. It's no longer kind of like a brown and like kind of like a light, kind of like a sort of a whitish color, but it's more of a black and white inverted, where Zigzagoon, this Galarian Zigzagoon has got like a white head. It has a star on its eye. And so it's a dark normal type, which means it's 4 times weak to fighting type attacks. So there's one knock against it already, but at the same point, it's not just the thing about Galarian Zigzagoon. The Galarian Linoon looks pretty cool, but the big news in regards to that, it actually has another evolution. And the name of the Pokemon after the Galarian Linoon here is, oh my god. Obstagoon. Now, basically, what this Pokemon looks like, it's humanoid in form, and it, first time I saw it, it's like, oh my god, is that Gene Simmons? Because, quintessentially, this Pokemon reminds me of the band Kiss in such a way, and the designs and other things, where it basically, Obstagoon kind of reminds me of Gene Simmons, because he has that star, he has the tongue and stuff like that that's like going out and about, and it's pretty funny, actually. And so, the ability of this Obstagoon and stuff, it basically has this sort of ability where it waits for the opponent to attack it and stuff, and then all of a sudden it'll fire up with some sort of counterattack or whatsoever. I may be misinterpreting what I've read, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I personally like the design. I think it's kind of like out of left field in this regard. I do like the aspect of them remaking a Pokemon inside of a different form other than, say, the Cantonian ones from Gen 1. So seeing Zigzagoon getting like some love, that's pretty fun. But we also had a couple reveals of different types of like trainer characters. Like you have two different rivals that you're introduced in this trailer. One of them is Bede, this kid with blonde hair and stuff that kind of looks like one of those antagonistic rivals. And you had the reveal of Team Yell. Team Yell looks like a punk rock. They look like a punk rockers, but they're obsessed fans of the other rival trainer that you're going to be competing against, called Marnie, who kind of looks like this punk rock sort of like girl and stuff. But what she has also is a new Pokemon that has not been unveiled before. And oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember this darn hamster. So quintessentially, it's a Pikachu clone, but not in the traditional sense. It has this ability. I think Morpeko, I think it was called. Ah, my gosh. So basically, it is an electric dark type, but it has this ability called oh boy. It has something to do with its hunger, apparently. And so basically what it has, it's two forms. So it has its normal form where it's like a full mode or something, and then quintessentially every turn it switches between types. So on one turn it could be like an electric type, and the next time it could be like a dark type. And what's kind of funny, to describe this mode is a hangry form, like a hangry mode, where it's like he's hungry, he's angry. So if he doesn't have something to eat or something like that, the very next turn he transforms into like an angry state where he can basically use some of his attacks like as dark type. So to give a good example, they have this sort of like this sort of like running wheel sort of move for Morpeko. And instead of its first form, it would be an electric attack, but if it changes forms, it transforms into a dark type attack. So every turn it switches in between that. And so I kind of see like the possibility of that being kind of fun to experiment around with. But I just kind of I was just kind of laughing at sort of like the definition, just the definition of like his different forms and stuff, because there's only been like one other time that I've heard of the term hangry, and that was by one of my friends last year or something like that, with her trying to describe, like, she was working and stuff like that. She didn't want me to talk with her because she was hangry. I'm like, what the fuck is hangry? I'm like, I'm hungry and I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm like, oh, god damn it. It's kind of like when those type of girls or something like that kind of like pout or something like that and do this and do that because they don't get enough. They just didn't get like something to eat or something like that, or just get angry just because of like not being able to eat and those other stuff. But
it's like my girlfriend in the morning when she wakes up. She's very angry. I know this life very well.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's what's kind of funny is the trainer revealed plus the Pokemon that she wields, like Marnie with the Morpeko and stuff. It kind of reminds me of my friend. And not just in regards to like the way she looks, but also by the Pokemon that she wields, because that's just typical. Because it's like kind of her typical attitude. She's happy and all this stuff, and all of a sudden it's like next minute she could be just angry at something. And I say that with love because I love my friends. Anyway, but other than that, though, other than the Galarian forms and the different types of trainers and stuff, it was kind of revealed after the fact that the way some bits of sponsorships do, like, they kind of work and stuff, where you can send... Actually, no. Not just, like, sponsorship stuff. I was kind of thinking, like, there's specific missions or something that each Pokemon can do. But, honestly, I think that pretty much wraps it up for the Pokemon news for me.
Okay.
The unveiling of Galarian forms, new rival trainers, that's pretty much the meat and the potatoes of it.
Very cool, man. Well, are you more excited for this, or is this kind of just after this news, or like?
Well, you know what? I was excited beforehand because there was a bunch of different things like revealed beforehand that made me interested in playing this game. But now with the introduction of these new characters, plus some of the Galarian forms confirmed, it kind of cementifies the fact that I want to play this game. I just hope they unveil some more complex characters as well, because that would be fun.
Yeah. I hope there's more drug-related Pokemon that are announced. That's all I want.
If they unveil like a Galarian Arbok and it's just nothing more than like some sort of like gigantic like e-cigarette, then that would be pretty funny.
Oh, that'd be fucking sweet if it was like a jewel or something like that. That'd be great. I'm all in for that. See, I was went from like 5% interested to now I'm like 13% interested now. There's a Galarian Weezing in there. I would have just like delete all the other Pokemon in my party and just carry him.
What's kind of funny is I like Weezing, you know, like the original Weezing from like Pokemon Red and Blue and stuff, because it could be a defensive tank. And when I was playing through Pokemon Black 2, was it like, oh no, that was like muck though. But anyway, it's like, I liked the aspect of just the whole concept of Weezing just being a play off of Cough and Wheeze and stuff, and just have these sludge attacks and stuff.
Yeah. I just think of the idea he could be like the Snorlax of this generation. Or instead of like a Poke, like he blocks the road, but instead of like a Poke Flute to get him to move, you have to like give him like a bag of like Flaming Hot Cheetos or something. Like the Takis or I don't know, ho-hos, I don't know, whatever they're into. Maybe like a White Claw. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, but I am. If they made it so you can like carry your Pokemon out like they had in, like the Let's Go ones, I'd probably buy this game just for that fact.
Oh, you know what? That would be pretty fun too.
Yeah. I just let him walk around with me would be great. But moving on to some more positive news. So Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo are working together now on loot boxes, making it so they have to publishers have to disclose the odds of receiving the in-game items. So this came from someone from the ESA. The video game industry relies on creating and sustaining relationships with our player base on fun, but just as importantly on trust. This was on their blog post. So one of the hallmarks of our industry is that we don't just create entertainment value for players, we listen to them. So obviously the loot box thing has been a big issue, especially the last year and a half or so. And they're hoping to get this started by the end of 2020. A bunch of developers are already on board for this. No, I don't know if there's gonna be games that come out after they put this mandate in. So basically, like if you want to publish a game on either their consoles, you have to disclose the odds of winning these items, or not winning but receiving these items. But I don't know if they're gonna like if it's like people are grandfathered in or not. I don't know how that works, but I know there's a decent amount of publishers that already like disclose the odds of getting these items. So I don't know, Gables. I think I don't really have a whole lot to say on it, other than I think this has been needed. I'm glad it's happening. At least we're on the right track, and it seems like this is going to happen for sure.
Let's see. It definitely is a step in the right direction. It's a good first step. That's what basically what this news is. It's quintessentially the three video game makers coming together, trying to self-regulate, which that's exactly what they should be doing with the ESA and stuff, to making sure stuff like this happens, and that the government doesn't step in to regulate a lot of the stuff for them, which, quite honestly, at this point, I am very surprised the government has not stepped in and just decided, oh, okay, let's go ahead and just establish this, let's go ahead and establish this type of standard for this, that, this, and that. But honestly, like I was saying before, it's a good first step, and it has led to some developers going through and supporting it, but it's also went through, especially with the news from Psyonix not too long ago, that they are completely removing loot boxes from their game Rocket League, which, you know what, that was a shoehorn thing in to begin with. I mean, I'm glad they're taking it out, because you don't really need to invest inside of loot boxes inside of that game in order to enjoy it, or they were just basically cosmetic stuff, but at the same point, it's the fact that it's a gambling mechanic inside of a random game that's like shoehorned in, and it really didn't belong there. So I'm happy that Psyonix is actually doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like, it was weird that like they added it in like a couple of years ago, and it was just like they pretty much went the Overwatch system, and like this was a game that's been out for almost 3 years at this point. Why are you doing this now?
Yeah, it felt like an afterthought.
Yeah,
and quite honestly, I think more or less this kind of move is coming off the heels. Well, not just with Psyonix. I'm just saying this whole dealing stuff with like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft is coming off the heels of, I believe, what Activision is currently doing with like Crash Team Racing, the remaster, where after the fact they are shoehorning in microtransaction stuff, like say certain like a cosmetic stuff, like certain loot box stuff that they can go through inside of a kid's game, right?
Yeah.
In order to try to get like extra funds and extra cosmetic stuff for people. And quintessentially what they're supposed to be doing is they're supposed to label on the back of the box and stuff, like inside the ESRB and stuff, that there are like say loot boxes or other types of like stuff. Technically, that's what they're supposed to be doing. But Activision going out and after the release, after a review of Crash Team Racing earlier on this year, are now going through and inserting microtransaction stuff. And quintessentially, that kind of ruins the interest for me. Because even though it's not like a major part of the game, it's just the fact that it was shoehorned after the fact and clearly meant to dodge any type of like scrutiny and stuff from reviews when it first came out. But anyway, that's a different story, and it's kind of teetering off of the topic that we're discussing right now, and that is in regards to Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo going through and trying to establish a thing where developers will display the odds of what you get inside of like the loot boxes and of themselves. I would like to reiterate that I believe this is a good first step, but personally, I don't think it's going to matter too much in the end of it, because it doesn't matter if you reveal the odds of what you're going to get inside of the items and stuff that you initially spend for these loot boxes or microtransactions. People are going to still do it. People do it still when it comes to like with gambling in real life too. The thing about it is, the reasoning why you can go through and play slot machines and this and that is because they clearly state like the mathematical probability, especially if you're going to Vegas and you're playing like say the roulette table or the slot machines or whatever the hell. They basically go through and describe to you there and then mathematically what are the odds of winning and stuff, and quite literally it's like they generally jury-rig the stuff inside of their favor in order for you to spend more money. I mean, that's still kind of fucked up in my personal opinion, but that's kind of a legalized sort of gambling sort of way where there's none of that. Quintessentially, in the gaming industry right now, it's worse than Vegas gambling in terms of these loot boxes. I know it kind of sensationalizes it, but I personally believe in terms of, say, microtransactions and loot boxes, personally, I just kind of feel like a lot of this stuff should be done away with, because, and when I say done away with, I preferably mean those that you have no idea what you're getting in return. So, like loot boxes, like this and that. If it was something where you knew, okay, this is exactly the type of item that I'm getting, this is going to be a set price, this and of that, I mean, in some aspects I'm okay with it, but what I basically want personally to see is like loot boxes just take out inside of their entirety, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much my viewpoint upon it, though. I mean, I know some may argue in terms of, say, in some microtransactional instances, oh, okay, this will be okay, or that'll be okay, but honestly, at this point, I do not trust AAA developers to, like, go through and just keep on, like, say, the moral high ground when it comes to stuff. Like, say, like a loot box stuff, because if you let them, like, say, some of these companies have the moral high ground, that's where we repeat stuff, like, say, with Battlefield, like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and stuff like that, or even like the loot box stuff, say with like cosmetic stuff with Overwatch or with Call of Duty or with even the most recent cases, like shoehorning them inside games, say like like Rocket League before they went through and took them out and stuff. It's like I don't feel like they belong in sort of video games, especially with the base stuff you're getting. You know, quintessentially just having content taken out of the games overall in order to resell them to you like when like just randomized bits. You know, that's just complete bullshit in my opinion. But.
Yeah. No, it's cool to see it's happening. Like I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad that it sounds like they are listening and that they are and trying to make a difference, especially going into this new generation. And they definitely want to get ahead of this before we definitely. I mean, this isn't even necessarily like a shot at Trump or this current administration. It's just kind of like we don't want the government getting involved in this stuff. Like, police it ourselves before it goes to the next level. They've already been trying to get involved the last couple years or so, and.
The last thing we want to have happen is a Trump-led government administration going through and regulating things for the video game industry because no one's going to be happy in the end. No one.
I mean, it's like that wasn't really a shot at Trump, but I mean, definitely he would be the one that he'd like be the last person I want heading that up.
Exactly. Some uninformed old man inside of the White House dictating to everybody younger than him this is how video games should be played, where he's probably never played anything besides Pocket Pool. Anyway.
Yeah, very true. With his very small hands. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it's happening. It needs to be done, and there needs to be a change to it. It's getting worse and worse. My only thing is, I don't know. Like, do publishers find a way to like make something different or change it up so it's like that they don't like there's a workaround or find something different. Like you heard about what game was it? It was Activision with Crash. You were talking about Tag Team Racing.
Yes.
Where they they added them in after like a week after the game count. They added them in so you wouldn't see it on the RB ratings. So it's people. The people have always found a way to work around things. It's just, but at least we're making it more difficult for them to do so. And I don't see the negative in any of this. I think this is something they should just do in the first place. I think iTunes or Apple's already like done this. I think about a year ago they put this in place where you have to start, showing what the odds are of getting the stuff is. So yeah,
I personally wish that they would take out like elements of using actual money for fictional, like just buying fictional money in order to spend on like items inside of the games and stuff like that. Actually using like real money in order to buy a specific thing in order to sell it to try to advance your stats or something like that, or to advance like progression side of a game.
Yeah.
My example with that, is like, let's say for World of Warcraft, where it's like you take a long time leveling this character and the progression thing is stunted because they want you to go forth and like spend money in order to go through and help your character develop. You don't have to do it, but if you bought a WoW token for like about $15-20 or something on the auction house, which I have done before, I don't like the fact that I've done that at least a couple times, but at the same point, sell the token, get a whole bunch of gold, manage to go through and like get a bunch of decent armor so that way you can level up faster. I just kind of wish those type of things did not exist and that the games would be structured to where it feels like you're actually doing actual progression instead of needing to play a dumbed down grind fest in order to get to where you want and accomplish something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like that's exactly what I did with like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where it's like just like you. I don't like the fact I did it. I don't regret I did it because I wouldn't have finished this fantastic game if I didn't.
Yeah,
do it.
of course.
But yeah, it's just.
But the fact that you had to do it is, like I've said to you multiple times and stuff, is completely stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I definitely it felt like a case where like they made it hard, made it progressing very slow to get you to want to do it. So yeah, I don't know. But anyways. It's cool. I'm glad this is happening. So I'm glad we end the show with a couple positive news.
Exactly.
The first couple things were not super positive and just annoying. But I think, Gables, that's going to wrap up our show for this week.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Like and join us on there. On Twitter at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us there, please. On YouTube, Drunk Nerds. Subscribe. Give us a big thumbs up. Leave a comment on our podcast. Did I already say iTunes? I don't think I did. No, I did not.
No, I don't think so.
iTunes, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe, please. Give us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment. And then also on Spotify, subscribe, follow us. Follow us there. And if there's a review system that you know of, please do the top thing you can do. And then twitch.tv/Colonel Gables. Give him a go follow, please. And so check us out in all those places and tell a friend. And also thanks again, guys, for making July our biggest month ever for downloads. So really appreciate all that. So once again, I was your host, Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables, so until next week, everyone, or whenever we start recording again, thank you very much. Have yourself a good week. But above all else, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables?
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.